Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art within GuildRock. I'm your host, OmLedu, and since our last episode, there have been some crazy shenanigans going on. Like Lockley and Joe Buffalo covering Hakon's entire build in water. We got a brand new water park here in the GuildRock. But to be fair, there have been lots and lots of crazy pranks happening because there is a prank war going on at the moment. Basically, there have been two secret nefarious groups that have been pranking each other for a while now. Now, since I joined a little late, I did not actually get to participate, but that's okay because we're going to host a trial very soon for some of the shenanigans, and I just so happen to be the judge for that trial, so I'm super excited for that. Now, I will say, RTX has been a whole lot of fun to play around with. Even though it is super duper dark at night, hard to see anything, it just makes things absolutely beautiful, especially the water. And so I just had to share what this prank looked like with the RTX enabled, because there's just so much water everywhere, it just looks so pretty. Especially compared to how water normally looks. Now, my water isn't necessarily default, because I am using the PBR texture pack for clear water, which applies to vanilla as well, apparently. So my water looks a little strange. Technically the PBR packs are for RTX, but some of them will apply to vanilla as well if you have them turned on. So that's kind of interesting. It's been throwing me off a little bit lately, seeing vanilla water without any texture, basically. But looking at things through water looks equally as crazy. Look how cool all of this looks. Even though you can't really see what's going on, it is super duper pretty anyway. Water has to be my favorite part about RTX. It just looks so realistic, but then the way that it reflects light and stuff like that, makes things look so trippy and so beautiful. I mean, now that there are frog lights around this whole thing, the waterfall around the house is creating this crazy wavelength pattern, and it just looks so cool. But anyway, I'll stop gushing about RTX for now and talk about what to expect from this episode. So lately I have been doing some new player guides because I know a few people who have started their Minecraft journey, so I thought for this episode maybe I would talk a little bit about quality of life stuff that I do in my own gameplay. Nothing as mind-blowing as Joe Buffalo's crazy underwater build, but maybe it'll just give you some things to think about when starting your own journeys, especially if you are new to the game. But even if you're not new to the game, hopefully one of my quality of life tips will inspire you in some way or another. And don't worry, I won't ramble too long about some of the basic things. I just wanted to touch on some of them since I know a few people who have just started their journeys. But for now, let's dive into my cave, which I have been busily digging away on. Rather than finding a pre-generated cave, cause what's that? I've been taking the time to dig my own cave. I just figured that rather than using resources right off the bat by building, I would gain some resources by digging a base. But I can't find my rockets anywhere, so I'm going to have to dive into my end chest, which brings me to my first question, is what do you keep in your end chests? I've always been curious to see what different people keep in their end chests, so let me know in the comments, what are the staple things that you just have to keep in your end chest so that you have access to them at all times? Personally, I like to keep my redstone in there, as well as all my valuables like my ore and my diamonds, plus some rockets and some food. So let me know what's in your end chest. But for now, let's turn off RTX, get back to vanilla, and rewind a bit to when I was first digging out my cave so we can go over some quality of life stuff. And we're going to start off with the most fundamental rule, and that is to spawn-proof your area. Torch spam as much as you can so that you don't get snuck up on by creepers. Having creepers spawn inside your base is never fun. I've been neglecting the torch spam and now I have a creeper on my wall. That's not cool. What if I had gone to eat or something and felt safe in my hidey hole, but my hidey hole isn't safe? He might have gotten me. So I would always recommend to torch spam your area first as soon as you can, as soon as you get there. You can always go back later and hide your light sources as you build. You don't have to worry about how ugly it looks, because you can change it over time. As long as it's safe, safety is best. And once you have a safe area, then you can really focus on building and digging and having fun without worrying about mobs. Now when it comes to clearing out space, I would like to quickly touch on enchantments and beacons. Mining without efficiency will take you a very long time to clear out an area or to just gather resources. So going out of your way to get efficiency as soon as you possibly can will speed things up, in the long run. I mean, mining with efficiency 5 is like 4 times as fast. And even though fighting the Wither can be super scary, if you can manage to get yourself a max level beacon, having haste 2 on top of your efficiency will really speed things up. You'll be able to gather resources and clear out area in no time. This combination will even make stone be insta-mine, so you can gather all the materials you will ever need to build the biggest castles. And once you experience mining with efficiency and a beacon, it's really hard to go back. Like, I find mining without enchantments or a beacon to be just so super painful. And to be honest, even if I have efficiency 5, if I don't have a beacon, it still just feels so slow to me now. I'll bring beacons with me even for the smallest of projects. So I definitely highly recommend trying to work your way up to a beacon, or at the very least efficiency. And one of the best things about multiplayer is you don't even necessarily have to fight the Wither in order to get beacons. A lot of times there's a shopping district on realms and servers, and someone will sell the beacons. But really, even on a solo world, fighting the Wither isn't that hard if you come prepared. Just get a decent bow from like fishing or from trading with villagers, and then get yourself some protection on your armor, and you should be okay. What I would recommend is if you're uncomfortable fighting the Wither, just go into a creative world, give yourself like a decent bow and some protection armor, and then just spawn the Wither. You can get used to his attack patterns and things like that, and once you get used to how he moves, really fighting him isn't all that hard, and then you can get all the beacons that you will ever need. But when it comes to building and placement of them, just remember that a maximum level beacon will provide its effects in a 50 block radius. This radius includes under the beacon, but not above it. Above it, it is infinite. So I recommend building your beacons down at the bottom of the map, that way it will give you the effects when you're in your mines. So what I like to do to dig down safely is if you stand where 4 blocks meet, you can kind of dig out the blocks while you're crouched, and even if you, drill over lava or drill over a cave, you will still be standing on one of the 4 blocks. As long as you're crouching and spinning in the middle of the 4 blocks, you won't fall whenever you run into a cave or some scary lava or something. And since beacons provide their effects 50 blocks underneath the beacon, you don't have to worry about building the beacons down at bedrock. I usually build them at like Y-20 just because it's easy to remember. So I go down to Y20 and I slap my beacon down, then I'll build, like some kind of platform to stand on, and then just clear out some area so that I can build my beacon. And since beacons provide their effects infinitely above them, you can build it down at bedrock and you will still get the effects even if you're up in the sky. And also remember that a max level beacon is 4 blocks tall, so you just have to build 4 blocks underneath the beacon, and then fill it out into a pyramid, and it will be the maximum size. This takes about 2.5 stacks of ore blocks, so keep that in mind. You will need to farm iron or, emeralds or something, a pretty decent amount. Now I also like to give myself haste 1, after like a couple of layers, just to help me out with like clearing around the beacon. But once I have enough space, now I can just finish off the pyramid, and then I'll have myself a maximum level beacon, and I can give myself haste 2. Like the other effects are really nice, but to be honest, haste is just so much more valuable than the other ones in my opinion, that unless I'm doing something like highly specialized, like I need healing for a farm or something like that, like for guardians, I almost always just use haste 1 and haste 2. But now that we got my max level beacon built, it's time to fly back up the hole and go back to my base. Now if you don't have wings or you're struggling to fly up the hole, you can always just dig diagonally up. That is totally fine. In fact, that's better because you gain resources. And speaking of resources and digging, I would highly recommend having quick mine access somewhere close by in your base. I usually build a diagonal staircase and I raise the ceiling enough for me to fly down it. But I don't do this all at once. That can be kind of boring. I just kind of mine the ceiling every time I go up and down the staircase. That way it gets done over time. And over the years, I've gotten really tired of building staircases. They just seem to take so long to build. But I learned that if you run backwards, staring straight down, like as far down as you possibly can, and you spam the place button, you can actually quick place stairs. Now this isn't foolproof. You will occasionally skip one or place one upside down, especially if your ceiling isn't high enough and you end up hitting your head. That will increase the odds of you placing them upside down, so be sure to dig out some of the ceiling before doing this, but this should save a ton of time when it comes to building large staircases. And one of the nicest things to have active at your base is farms. You know, you're going to be spending a lot of time organizing inventory or AFK or just working, so it's nice to gain stuff while you're at your base. It's also good to know that redstone and crops will activate and grow all the way down at Bedrock as long as you are above them. You know, simulation distance has no vertical limitation. And one of the very first things that I always build at my base is a scaffolding mob farm. You know, they are quick and easy, and it's really nice to gain the passive gunpowder, bones, and string. And all it is just platforms of scaffolding with some coral fans along the edge so that mobs think that they are solid blocks, and then some signs diagonally up from the scaffolding to block the water that we're going to place on top of the scaffolding. And so now, one of the best things about this design is that the mobs spawn directly into water, which means they start getting pushed the second they spawn in. You know, with some other farm designs, you have to wait for the mobs to actually start wandering around and hope that they fall into your canal. Whereas with this, they just start getting pushed into the canal the second they spawn in. You know, I would never build any other type of basic mob farm. You know, and this includes like creeper-only farms. Like while we're talking about it, if you build a max rate scaffolding farm, you'll actually get the same amount of gunpowder or more than most creeper-only farms. And that is because, you know, most creeper-only farms, not only are they expensive because they rely on buttons and trapdoors to spawn-proof for everything that isn't a creeper, but this also prevents you from spawning the creepers directly into your water canals. You know, you actually have to wait for the creepers to fall off the platforms on their own. And then, you know, not very many creepers are allowed to spawn at any given time. You know, so creeper-only farms usually have worse rates than like scaffolding mob farms. You know, now if you want lots of gunpowder easily, you know, go with a ghast farm. You can build super basic ghast farms really cheaply. You know, and you'll get way more gunpowder doing it that way. Or if you want to, you know, build something like a creeper-only farm, it's really expensive and time-consuming from all the buttons and trapdoors, so you could actually spend that time building a max-rate scaffolding farm and get the same amount of gunpowder plus string and bones and everything else that the other mobs will provide. And normally for this farm, I just use fall damage because I just want it to be passively active at my base, but this time I added an optional trident killer. I really like this. You know, I've never done this before, you know, but I learned that there's this other trident killer that you can use from looking at guardian farms, you know, and I realized that I could use this to make a toggleable trident killer. So, you know, basically we have pistons that are going to push some magma, and then we're going to have dispensers that will dispense some water on top of the magma that will then push the mobs into the trident killers. And then we have the lever to turn all of this on up here in my little AFK room. You know, this is the room that I come hang out at when I'm not sure what I want to do, or when I need to go AFK to eat some food or something like that. You know, so I built that farm to be active from that room, so it seemed fitting to have the trident killer activation in that room as well. You know, because with trident killers, you don't want to leave them on and like log out or leave the area. Sometimes the trident killers will break. You know, and of course, sometimes with the toggleable design, I might end up trapping a mob underneath there. So that's why I have trapdoors so that I can kill those mobs if they ever stack up. But look at this, now I have an optional trident killer, you know, for my scaffolding mob farm. You know, so whenever I'm dedicated AFK, I can get even more loot. And I do have a video on how to build a mob farm at your base, you know, how to measure it out, how to expand it, and all of that good stuff that I will link in the video description and here on the screen if you want to check that out and build one of these at your own base. Now, I don't talk about the toggleable trident killer because I actually, you know, never built one until now. You know, so if that's something that you would like to see, just let me know in the comments and I will get it done. I really hope that you found some of those base tips useful or interesting, you know, but y'all probably know way better than I do, so let me know what you do in your own bases. You know, what sort of staple things can you just not live without? What kind of quality of life stuff do you give yourself right off the bat, you know, in your place of sanctuary? Let me know in the comments what you do in your own bases. I would love to hear your own stories. But really quick, before wrapping up this video, I want to talk a little bit more about the hilarious prank war that's been going on. You know, there have been so many nefarious shenanigans. You know, like behind me, this is one of the most violent ones. There was this button in the middle of the street that even I wanted to press the button when I saw it. You know, I really wanted to press that button. You know, and I was watching a live stream, and someone did press the button on the live stream, and it blew up this poor innocent shop. this shop just got exploded. And so, now we're going to hold a trial, we're going to have a jury, we have cat scene investigators collecting evidence, I'm the judge, it should be really interesting to see what happens with all this, like whose fault was it? And if you would like to see more of the prank wars, from the people actually participating in them, you can check the video description on this video for a link to everyone's YouTube. A lot of these people are content creators here on the YouTube, and I would highly, highly recommend all of them. They all have great tutorials and hilarious videos. But especially for the prank videos, I would definitely recommend checking those out. Also in the video description is a link to the GuildRock Discord. You can join that Discord and talk to us there, and you can even apply to become a member. Everyone is welcome to join, and anyone is welcome to apply. We would love to see you there. I would also love to see you in my own Discord. That link is also in the video description. Mainly it's a place where I can answer questions, and look at screenshots if you're having trouble with redstone or something like that. But you can also just share pictures of your builds, find players to play with, find worlds to play in, or really anything Minecraft related that you would like to do. Just let me know what you're looking for in the Discord, and I will do my best to help you. And also, speaking of that, if you have any video requests whatsoever about redstone, about farms, or entertainment, simply let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to get it done. It usually takes me about a week to make a video from start to finish, so just let me know what you would like to see, give me a little bit of time, and I will do my best to help you out. These videos are really just to try to help people out, so, I hope they are helpful, and I hope you find them interesting. I hope you liked this episode, and if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. It really, really, really helps out the channel, and it makes me super duper happy. I can't keep making these videos without your support. And speaking of, a big shout out to all of my subscribers and all of my supporters. It is because of all of you that I can continue making these videos. So you all make me extremely, extremely happy, and I appreciate all of you. So thank you so much. And even if you're not subscribed, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope to see you again very, very soon. Consider subscribing for more redstone tutorials, farm videos, let's plays, and more. But that's all we got for this episode, so until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, hopefully teaching you a Minecraft trick or two, and reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!